There are two different enumeration types in MySQL, enum and set, and they work very differently. So let's look at a couple of examples so that you can see how it is that they work. I'm going to create a table in the test database to show you enum. This will create a table called enum test with one column, color, of type enum with three possible values, red, blue, and green. Go ahead and create the table, and now let's insert a value. This will insert one row into the enum test table in the test database with the value red in the color column. There we go, and let's take a look. And there we have the one column with the value red. Let's insert a couple more. And another one for green. And so what we have now is we have three rows. One is red, one is blue, and one is green. The value of this is that these different values are actually stored in just 1 byte each. The enum type is actually just an integer, and it stores a number called an index. And when you define it, you've defined three possible values, red, blue, and green. And so it'll store a 1 if it's red, and a 2 if it's blue, and a 3 if it's green. So it takes up very little space. If you have a limited number of possible values for a column, then this is a great way to be able to still see them mnemonically, to be able to still see red, blue, and green, and to not have to translate it in your code, you know, that a 1 is a red, because the database engine will do that for you, and it does it very, very efficiently. So this is a very useful column type. I want to show you one other little quirky aspect of the enum type. If I try to put a value in here that is not defined in the declaration, it's not really going to know what to do with it. It can't store a 1 or a 2 or a 3. It can't store a 4 because it doesn't have it defined, and it won't know what that is when it tries to read it. So what it does is it just silently stores nothing. And it's not even a null value. It's just empty. So when we go and look at this, we only see 3 values. There's actually a 4th row down here, and just because HTML doesn't display an empty table cell there, we're not seeing it. But if we do count, we'll see that there's 4 rows. There's 4 rows. So it's stored an empty value there for the unknown color. So this is just an important aspect to understand about how enums work. It'll silently fail effectively. I would have preferred that it gave an error and didn't allow us to insert a value that's not in the enumeration list when we declare it. But this is what it does, and it's important to know that that's how it operates. Now let's look at the set column type. We'll create another test table. This creates a table called setTest with one column, attrib, which is a set type, and it has 3 possible values, bold, italic, and underline. And these are attributes that can be applied in combinations. And so what set does is it allows you to have multiple values in one column, in one row. So one value can be bold, or it can be italic, or it can be bold and italic, or it can be italic and underline. It can be any combination of these three values. And the way that MySQL does this is it stores them in a bit field. This is really just another way to use a bit field with mnemonic values, and it's very, very flexible and powerful. And it allows you to use your bit fields and not have to do a lot of computation to figure out which bits are set and which bits are not set. Instead, you get these lovely mnemonic values for the bits. So let's go ahead and create this table, and let's assign some values to it. I'm going to go ahead and do several of these. I'm just going to cut and paste so that we can, let's say we'll do bold and italic, and we'll do another one with, say, bold and underline, and another one with, say, underline and italic, and let's do one more with underline and bold. We did bold and underline before. Let's do underline and bold so we can see how that works. The truth is that MySQL will always display them in the order that they were defined. So for underline italic, it'll say italic underline, and for underline bold, it'll say bold underline when we read them back. Let's go ahead and store this. We should have 5 rows in our table. And take a look. There we go. We have bold italic, bold, bold italic, bold underline, italic underline, and bold underline. See, underline is always at the end because that's the way that we defined it. If we go and look at our declaration, describe set test, we see that that's the order that they're defined. Set, bold, italic, and underline in that order. So it'll always read them back in that order. So that's the set type. Set is very useful for flags. It makes the bit field usable by somebody who's not even terribly technical. And those are the 2 enumeration types that are available in MySQL. There's enum for one value per row, and they are stored as indexes in an integer field. And then there's set test for multiple combinations of possible values, and they're stored in a bit field.